Do not go in a cave without a cave tour guide.
Perfect. I've never been jubilated in my life. Never seen you like that. Great place to hide.
It's recording, right, Dad?
I don't know.
Is the red light on?
I'll check when I get down there.
It's a challenge, actually. To break more or to break. It's up to you. Are you challenging yourself to break a left first? Do what? I need to break it. Okay, well, I'm challenging myself to break it back. So it's more than I thought. I am a selfish person and also incredibly humble, so I'll break it simple. People can push me. That part I didn't avoid talk about that one. Really stupid. So like, I will do the opposite of whatever. There's like a million things where you say save it. If he kills him, then it wasn't the opposite. But you say kill him, and he gives it back, you can't give it one. There's a million different versions of that. So it's like, because he has to do, there's like another stipulation. Like he has to do like the opposite day. No, I think if it No. Are you thinking of like the? He said it's something about opposite. Are you thinking of like I guess so it's like the Pinocchio thing. My nose. It's like that. Why didn't you say that? Because the alligator went any different. I know she was had a bunch of extra stipulations.
I wonder if the pictures will even come out.
I'm gonna say it's the one that might be the dumbest part. You can always cut things in half. I mean that's kind of true. No, the infinite distance. Okay, well that's kind of really good. So it's like something you always need to go halfway in place. I don't think you go. I think we should walk out the way.
And remember, they put these rails here for a reason. Start getting your views.
Feels like it'll be a good temperature.
What's that?
Feels like it'll be a decent temperature.
Yeah.
Like one that we're used to.
The places in Arizona where you
it'd be like 120 degrees. Yeah, and you only go down like 6 feet in the water, completely frozen.
You're like, said you walk in 40 degrees.
Yeah. They had a place where you could like crawl into it.
Yeah, I told you earlier.
Slippery railing, be careful.
Whoa, this is wet and slippery.
They told me that the rail got
Oh, even up and down at what final the operate. Those steps are quite angled. I'm holding on to.
We ought to talk about it. See if he's ever walked through it. Like if one person pauses the heat, the next person has to pause.
When you go outside, you can touch the rock. You have to watch your head, though.
Well, that's why I'm hanging out over here.
How can I watch my head?
Is the red light on, Dad?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
Alright, good.
Let me see. Yeah, it's flashing slow.
That's a good thing. That's what it should be doing. It'll beep if it stops or anything. I turned that on because when we went snowmobiling, the battery died or I put it on and accidentally turned it off. And we missed like half of the first part of the footage.
Remember, don't touch.
Yep, don't touch. Don't touch nothing unless you have to.
Yeah, the fat man's misery, that's where you're allowed to touch the wall.
Because you pretty much have to. But like they don't want you just like reach up and touch the ceiling right here or something.
Exactly.
Something's in my shoe. There.
Yeah. This is a good guide for you. I don't know what happened to you. Right here.
When you're touching stuff as cave-ins, you could cause stuff if you just happen to.
Touch it in the wrong spot.
Lily would go on something like this?
No. She would take one look at the cave and be like, it's scary. Maybe when she's like 10 or something. But
Yeah.
Alright folks, get to that fork in the road, stay to the left, if you go right, I will not see you on this tour anymore. Left.
left. I'm glad we're from Michigan because of the temperature in here.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's like the perfect temperature for people from Michigan.
Thank you.
Left. Because there's another tour.
You guys would squeeze to the left side of the trail for us, please. We got the world's smallest superhighway and the world's longest cave.
Huge. No idea.
Native Americans, or is it
Are we allowed to just go in here alone? Because there's like people in here alone.
No, I think there was a self-guided tour available sometimes.
Ask us to go here, we'll figure it out. I'm gonna need to check everybody else. How many got? Just one? 8. Who's got tickets? Just scroll through if you would.
Fair question.
It's 12. Thank you kindly. 13 and 14 and 15 and how many?
2.
16 and 17. Thank you.
Thank you. This is huge.
All the rubble at the bottom, though.
From
That's from
cave-ins.
falling apart through the years.
Yeah. And then there are like other pieces of wood and stuff from maybe Native American.
I cannot remember the cave system I went to in New Mexico when I was a kid.
Huge.
Yeah, how would you like to be under one of those when it lets loose?
What?
That big boulder all of a sudden let loose on you.
Where?
If one of those,
Just like one of those like fell from up there. Like it looks like like there's some that were up there, right there, that fell pretty recently. It looks like.
like you said, the first
Mom's gotta see this.
45 minutes is pretty easy.
45, you said?
He said 45 minutes. It's pretty easy. Big cavern.
Wonder how much a tour guide would get paid to do this?
Probably 20 or so.
An hour. Is that
You could
decent?
actually go apply for those type of jobs. They're summer seasonal positions, I should say.
Looks like it must be motion light activated. Did you see how they like just flickered on?
Yeah. Which obviously it would be.
Or maybe that button console there. And there's someone else that turns it off at the end. Something wrong.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's watch him so you can, he's gonna talk about what's going on. Make some room for everybody else.
Good job, Linda.
As we're waiting for the entire group, if anyone has any questions or concerns, just let me know. That's what I'm here for.
Are we coming up somewhere different or coming back this way?
We're making a big old loop, yeah. So that rotunda, that first room we saw, we'll see it again at the end of the tour, okay?
So what's up with the woodwork?
We'll talk about that. Great question.
And will we also talk about how the caves are made?
I might, this is sort of where I talk a lot more about history, but yeah, I will probably at River Hall, just depending on my timing and everything, so. All right, folks.
You don't want to wear your
I'm
hoodie?
good.
As we kind of gather on in over
warm,
here,
man.
I'd like to ask you a question. First thoughts, what are you feeling about this place, yeah? Anyone want to give me an answer? Dark, yeah? Yeah. Is it big? You know, you could say it's a mammoth in size, right? Yeah, so believe it or not, folks, not a single mammoth has ever been found inside this cave. We call it Mammoth Cave because, well, you saw it. Mammoth is another word for large, big. And these rooms that you're seeing right here, the roofs of them, exactly how people have been seeing this place for hundreds of years. Now, I think it's important to talk about how this cave was found. And the first entrance was that historic entrance we just went through. And there's a fanciful story that goes with it I'd love to share with you folks. So it's the 1790s. The United States is a new country. It's expanded its borders into now the wild frontiers of Kentucky. There's a family who decides they want to put their homestead near the entrance. They don't know about it, but near this area here in Kentucky. They're called the Houchins. And they have a son. His name is John Houchins. At the ripe old age of 11, he decides he wants to go hunting for his family, okay? So he grabs his big old Kentucky long rifle and goes into the wilds, the woods, the deep woods of Kentucky. And do you know what he's hunting for? Does anyone want to guess exactly what this young boy is hunting for his family?
Deer?
Deer? Yeah, that's what a normal person would do. He's 11. He wants to impress his family. He's
Bear.
hunting a black bear. Yeah. Big old black bear. So he's going through these thick woods, places no one's ever really seen before. And as he's going through it, he finally finds that big old black bear. So he's got one shot in that musket to make it count. So he aims at that black bear, and he fires. He doesn't kill the bear, though. Only injures it. This bear starts running away. And John Houchins decides, I want that bear. I'm going to go after it. So he chases after it, too. And they're going through the woods. All these thick woods, these trees, they're probably tripping up in places. But as they go down a hill, this bear is going down here. John Houchins is going to chase after it. And soon he reaches the edge of this new historic entrance he's just found. Mammoth Cave. Some say that bear's still out here in the cave. But that sounds like a great story, fantastic story. Well, I hate to say this, folks, it's a bit of folktale, you know? In reality, the entrance of the old Mammoth Cave was probably found in the 1750s by French surveyors in the area. They marked it and went on their way. But as the turn into the 1800s was happening, there's buried treasure that was found here in the cave. Now, it's not your traditional buried treasure like a pirate that got lost and somehow ended up in Kentucky. No. In fact, the treasure was in the dirt all around us here. People who came here in the 1800s, early 1800s, swarms of bats would be all throughout this cave here. Guess what bats do in caves? Does anyone want to guess? They hibernate, yeah. But they poop. Guano, right? It's dropping. And with their guano in this dirt, you can get calcium nitrate, okay? Calcium nitrate is an important ingredient in making saltpeter. Put that calcium nitrate with some potassium like wood ash or even ox blood. You mix that, okay? Then you can get your saltpeter. Saltpeter makes, does anyone want to guess what saltpeter does? What? I heard it. Gunpowder. Gunpowder, exactly. And there's a little event that's occurring in 1812. Oh man, it's late in the day. I can't remember the name. Does anyone know what happens in 1812 in this country?
War of 1812.
War of 1812. Oh yeah, how could I forget? Yeah, the War of 1812 is occurring at this time. I don't know if you know this or not, but you need gunpowder to fight in a war. So this cave, all these wooden logs that you've been seeing along your way right here, like this right here, it's from that saltpeter mining operation in 1812 to 1815. All right, folks? All original. These haven't moved since they stopped in 1815 here, okay? Now this mining operation, it was crucial to the American war effort. It's said that 1 every 3 guns that was fired, saltpeter came from this cave right here, okay? Crucial in the war effort. But this is hard work. You'd come in here from sunrise to sunset, digging tons and tons of dirt. Then with that dirt, you grab water and start leaching out that calcium nitrate that you need. There's none of these fancy lights that we have in here now, so you're using it by lantern, okay? Can you imagine all this dirt, all this smoke, it's making you cough. You have no say in what you're doing here, okay? No free man wanted to do such work. So instead, up to 70 to 80 enslaved African Americans were forced to work in the saltpeter mining operations down here. It's a bit ironic that these people are so crucial in helping the American war effort for freedom here, but they themselves would probably never know such freedom as they were first to work here in the cave. But as they were digging through the dirt, they discovered, these people, that they were far from the very first people to ever touch Mammoth Cave. And our next stop, we'll talk a little bit more about that. With that being said, folks, does anyone have any questions here at this stop? All right. Sounds good. Yes?
Do you know how they put the holes in the logs?
The holes in the logs. Yeah, so there's just different tools that you can kind of carve it out. The old school way is actually grabbing coal and just letting it burn through. That's a really old-fashioned way to do it. But yeah, it's like a scoop kind of thing. Great question. So folks, like I said, if you're a slow walker, this is going to sound like a broken record. Come to the front with me, okay? Let's keep on going deeper into Mammoth Cave.
That's good.
Apa itu lah?
Probably what some of these piles were. Like some of these piles of dirt were from, probably, without mining thing. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like some people wrote on the wall, of course. Over there I saw some engravings of probably someone writing on the wall. Well, doing one of these tours.
మేమే ఇవన్నీ కట్టించాం పూర్వజన్మలో.
ఇక్కడ రీల్ చేయాలంట. సడన్గా అరుంధతిలో అనుష్క పోయినట్టు సడన్గా వచ్చినట్టు అది అరుంధతి కాదే. అంటే సడన్గా అన్నీ ఒక
రిఫరెన్స్ ఇచ్చుకున్నాము. మల్టీవర్స్
మరి అనుష్క శెట్టిది ఇంకోటి ఉంది కదా, బాగుమతి కదా, అది కూడా యాడ్ చేయండి.
అప్పుడు వేరే లాంగ్వేజ్లో మాట్లాడాలి.
రోస్ట్రస్ టెల్ మీ అదేదో ఉంది కదా, నిమ్ पानी आलू पैटी क्या बड़ा बड़ा गाजर मटर ఇది టైల్ అది నాది లేదు నా ముందు నుంచి
అదే పాస్
ahead of me so you
I'm
can
getting eaten up by bugs.
your imagination.
Okay.
Somebody put their name on there years ago.
Yeah. I saw a couple of those over here.
Yeah.
Folks in the front, you see that chair right over there? Do not go past that chair, okay? So keep on coming, keep on coming.
Excuse me.
All good. Yep, and yep, stop around there. Yep, perfect.
Look, there's like carvings from 1839 in there.
Yeah.
It says something. It has a name in 1839.
The pictures just don't do it justice. Hopefully your video does.
I think it did pretty well.
All right. So, folks, our last stop kind of ended on a bit of a cliffhanger, you could say. People came on before. Who exactly were these people? Well, we think archaeological evidence points that around 5,000 years ago, prehistoric Native Americans, their cultures, were coming into this cave, Mammoth Cave, right here. They're exploring up to 15 to 20 miles of this large cave with nothing but river cane torches. Does anyone know what river cane torches is by any chance? Well, what river cane is by any chance? Great, yeah, so river cane is a bamboo-looking plant. You go to the Green River here in the park, you might see some of it. It's a native plant here. So you gather a bunch of that, start lighting that on fire, and guess what? You got yourself a torch that can last about 30 to 45 minutes. Okay? So you can't really explore up to 15 to 20 miles in this cave with just one torch, right? So you need a bundle of them. So these people would have bundles of them and put them in certain spots where they think, they could come back to, okay? Over and over again. So you still, to this day, have bundles inside the cave from people who have forgotten them. Now, why exactly were these people coming inside the cave? Well, to mine gypsum, okay? Does anyone know what gypsum is? It's a mineral. It's sparkly, yeah. So anywhere where they could reach it, they grab mussel shells or anything to scrape it off, okay, and bring it outside the cave. Some may be wondering what they're doing with the gypsum. Does anyone want to take a guess exactly what they're doing with the gypsum? Paint. Yeah, could be. Anyone else? Well, your guess is as good as mine, okay? Because we're not exactly sure why these people are coming in here to get the gypsum. No, it's in tongues. I don't know, maybe it could be that. So, these people are coming in here for hundreds, thousands of years to get that gypsum, okay? And they left artifacts for us to kind of realize that they were here, scrape marks, maybe a moccasin here and there. Their beads, anything like that, mussel shells, whatever it could be, it was here in this cave, okay? But it seems like these cultures, whoever they were, around 2,000 years ago, they stopped coming inside Mammoth Cave. I'm not exactly sure why, but it seems like it was just gone. And it wasn't rediscovered until The Europeans came around in the 1700s again. Now these people, they were quite brave, let me tell you. I cannot imagine going throughout this massive cavern where nothing but that river came forth with you. Okay? I can imagine. Maybe you've forgotten where your bundles were that you hid. Maybe you're going throughout this cave, you've lost where you're going. Now you're 30 minutes in, and that torch is starting to fade away slowly. And then it's 45 minutes, and there's nothing but ashes left. And then it's an hour in, and you're in the actual cave now. Would you guys like to see what a cave looks like all the time?
Yes.
All right. So with that being said, folks, if you're scared of the dark, close your eyes. You won't be able to tell the difference. Also, if you have any phones or anything like that, please put them up for this, because I want us to all experience true darkness, something you cannot get unless you're in a cave or the bottom of the ocean with how dark it is, okay? If you have any devices or anything like that, put them on up. We can't see. All right. You guys ready? Ready? Yeah. Oh, yeah, you too. Now, folks, let's all put up our phones once again. Yeah, I do see some. Let's put it up.
Well, why'd you turn it on?
I guarantee you, it's
not on.
Report anything. Turn off your phones, your watches, whatever it may be. And I'll tell you what, folks, if you're silent for long enough, you might be able to hear the cave crickets sing. Okay? So all be quiet. Well, folks, yeah, cave crickets sing. But with that being said, folks, who wants the lights back on?
Please.
More epic here. This, as the saltpeter mining operations ended in 1816, the new owner, it ended. It was pricing started to crash. There's this crazy idea in 1816 with the new owner. Get this. People wanted to come to Mammoth Cave. They pay for it. And they go inside this dark cave with this strangers. So tourism starts in 1816 and continues to this day. Now in the beginning, it was all done by something like this. Lanterns. Torch to go all throughout this cave. And we didn't have these fancy little walkways we're going through. It's through these rocks, these harsh ways. And the first guides of the cave, most of them were enslaved African Americans to lead people down to this dark cave. The one particular guide I would like to talk about here in our journey through the cave is a man by the name of Stephen Bishop. Okay, he was an enslaved man that came in the 1830s to Mammoth Cave to give tours to people. He's one of the most famous of them. He's of a certain event that happened. One day as he's giving frantic, captive tours of this cave, a visitor comes up to him. He's like, I will give you all the money in my wallet if you can take me to a part of the cave no one has ever seen before. You can think? He's like, I know this all. So this pathway that we're going through, as we go deeper into it, there's a spot called the Mammoth pit. No man can ever go through there. Stephen decides to grab a wooden ladder to get across the bottom of the pit. They cross like that. Now, folks, you still have to go across that wooden ladder. Okay? No, I'm just kidding. Come on, we're off there. We're off there. But as they crossed over, every single step that Stephen Bishop and that visitor took was a brand new one. From a spot no one's ever seen before. We're going to follow those footsteps and see what he saw. Okay? With that being said, I think it's time to turn on a little lights and talk a little bit more before we continue on.
Lights. There we go.
We're back. So, folks, there's a few things more I'd like to talk about. As we're going deeper inside that cave, we're going to start seeing.
They have their signatures. I just had to turn back on my camera because it was starting to die.
Okay.
And it was getting really hot.
Gotcha.
Is the red light blinking?
Yep.
It is? Alright, good.
Alright, folks, we're going down the steps of time.
That's what
Probably, yeah. So we're going over that bottomless pit area?
Apparently.
Or are we going into it?
Over it.
That's what I thought.
Because there wasn't a way around it before, so the
And
original tour guide, or that Steven,
the other guy.
yeah, that guy, he put a ladder across it. So obviously
It would be dangerous for us to go down it.
yeah, there's no way out. I would imagine. That's cool.
If it's black like that, yeah, it's smoke writing, so it's with candles. You gonna show us something? Yeah, still doing good. We'll not have a good time.
I'm not going to do it.
Alright, folks, we're going to continue a slow walk.
Got a little drip of water on my head. Narrowly missed the camera. I wonder if the camera heard that. The explosion. I might switch back over to that other battery that was dying because it was at 33%, but I changed it because it was getting really hot.
Okay.
1838. Probably. Oh, that's cool. Right there, that cool thingy. I haven't even noticed any really recent ones.
No.
Unless the one marked by with 71 is from 1971.
Possibly. I would think that it must have been illegal to do so by then, but that was just violence. But
Oop, I just got very wet. It's side saddle pit. It's side saddle pit. It's another pit. Side saddle pit. This might be bottomless pit. Just making sure that my camera doesn't fall off my head and go down there.
yeah, that would be good. Cool.
I'm gonna just kind of hold it, and it's getting quite warm. So good on battery. Good on SD card. This might be bottomless pit.
Oh wow. Yeah.
I can barely see the bottom.
There's more. There's light over here that
Oh.
through the grate. You can see it's the 100 feet down. 40 feet down.
Either there is another tour that happens to go down, that happens that happens to pass by down there, maybe.
No, they just put the lights down there so you see how deep it really was.
Probably, yeah.
About halfway done.
Ada video lucu apa sih cuma you join one from the future. Atau tinggal question ta. Kalau taruh tadi itu question ta sana aku flashback उसको correction करवाना है. Oh no. अनिलो वाला जो तोड़ता वर्षा कुमारी.
संजना देवी
नीचे का जाते गुट तो
tour is shorter too, so it's like 75 minutes, I think.
Oh, okay.
So that's not,
That's long.
yeah, it's not bad. So 8:45. It's
So if this battery might not die fully, so I'll probably charge this one up when we get back,
yeah.
and then hopefully it'll be charged.
Misery, by the way, folks. So, the fun part.
But if my camera doesn't charge fully by the time we go to bed, I'll just swap the battery out anyway.
So let's make me less fat by taking my backpack off.
Yeah, it's probably the best idea. All right, folks, we're gonna continue on now.
It's up here though.
Yeah.
The sign's up here, and I see it's getting a lot. Like it's like getting like a trench.
Basically, is an old water path of water that curves. So, there's a new path.
No. I think so.
I don't think you could get through there without touching the sides.
Maybe if you're really thin and you just barely squeeze through here, like that, it just is getting deeper and deeper.
This is fun.
Yeah,
What do you think, Bruce?
fun.
Crazy. Shit.
Red light
Wow,
blinking.
do not touch that. That's a route ready to give it away.
The red light's still blinking. Yeah. All right. Oh, it gets really short up here.
Must be hard to.
Oh my god. They're being eaten by the cave.
There's no way Spa's ever gonna want to do this.
Yeah.
Go into one of those. Turn on the light real quick. And just do it fast enough for the group, okay? Yeah. We'll have some time. Just wait here, folks. So those are only for emergencies, folks. We're gonna keep on going. Okay?
I just saw somebody go in there.
Yeah, that's for the kid.
Oh, bathrooms?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So like, this guy would. It's not a. There's no running water or anything. It's okay. Compost for the shower.
My camera's doing pretty good.
What's that?
The camera's doing pretty good.
Yep.
It's a little blinking light.
Yep.
It's good.
Yep.
times. I just checked the battery. 70% battery. What is it? Oh, 1969 up there. That one's pretty new.
Still 10 years older than me.
Oh, I see an 1855 on the ceiling.
1838, I believe it
I
was.
saw an 1836 in that area where they turned off the lights.
Oh, okay. It says 35, not 55.
Oh.
Which what?
What?
Alert. Could not send a message. Well, I didn't try to send a message at 408. That's weird.
401?
408.
408.
So,
Huh. Maybe try resending one that you couldn't send earlier? I don't know.
yeah, maybe.
Only thing I can think of. Someone probably farted. Someone probably farted. That's what that smell is.
I think we might have seen one that said 812, no one from.
It's probably just someone get together for something. You get a lot of just random signatures like that too. You know, any signature. I've never seen one. If you're curious, why
How much of the tour do we have left?
40 minutes. We're going to do a talk. We're going to have my last talk. We're going to go somewhere down. And then we'll meet up once again for me to just say, you know, what we're going to do, how to leave the cake. I do.
Left-hand side equal to and screw. Red line की तरफ. Is it? Okay. Which means we equal to 1. అక్కడ నడుస్తుంటే అవుతాయి
Wonder how expensive it was to run all these electric wires and stuff through here. It's like, look at all of them.
Oh, yeah.
And then they put these for the lights every so often.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I remember reading that. I only saw 38. I might have seen 50.
Right here.
Yeah, but that's just because we added it. Well, no, it shouldn't be added. We did, that's the point. See if we can get down that far.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
And folks, as they're coming in, if anyone has any questions or concerns, just let me know. Also, this is a sold out tour, so we're gonna have to squish in just a little bit when everyone gets here, okay? Yes.
I'll scooch down to the end.
Below the
I'm
surface.
scooching down to the end.
This is our deepest point that we're going to be at in the entire tour, right here.
310.
We're squishing together. Yeah, he said it's
Does seem to go a tiny bit deeper, like a few more feet deeper down that way, but it seems to end there. See some people shining
Well, other
lights
parts
over there.
of the cave are deeper, I'm sure. He said in this tour, this is as deep as it gets on this tour. There might be another tour that we go deeper, like the one we want to tomorrow morning might be. I don't know.
Because it's more like physically challenging.
Yeah.
This is really cool.
I'm glad we did this one first. We get an idea.
Instead of being thrown into something.
Yeah.
And then start the long climb up.
See more stalagmites and stuff on that one.
Yeah. Hence the name.
Yep.
Alright folks, we're now starting to fill in, so please squish in together so we can make room for everyone on this sold out tour. Thank you. Alright folks, so I'd like to ask, how was all that? How was Fat Man's Misery and Tall Man's Agony? Was it fun? Was it good? Yeah, awesome, good deal. Oh, yeah. Right, I love the enthusiasm, folks, good deal. So, I would like to kind of continue on with that Stephen Bishop story I was telling earlier. So he went through all that we just went through, got to River Hall, climbed up this break right up here, and over there is that Mammoth Dome. To him, it was one of the greatest things that he found here in the cave, and he explored a ton of it. Now, when he got there, as he came back over and over, just by himself, even with tours too, one day, very early on, he's going and exploring, and he finds a lantern at the bottom of the dome. That's really weird, considering he's one of the only people that knows about this, right? So he picks it up, examines it, continues on his way. Back on the surface, he goes back to where his other guides are. He brings out this smashed up old lantern. And he's like, look what I found at Mammoth Dome. And as the story goes, one of the old tour guides in the back speaks up. And he's like, that's mine. You just found it. Thank you. Stephen's puzzled. What do you mean that's yours? I thought I was one of the only people that ever went down into Mammoth Dome to see it. And this older gentleman, he starts telling his story. He was a child. He was forced to work at that saltpeter mining operation. And at the last passage we're at, we're going to go through a place called Little Bat. Before all these great stairs were built, if you looked at the end of Little Bat, there's just a big old hole in the ground, okay? Dark hole, okay, before we built our stairs. So these workers, they went back there and they saw it. And they decided, well, let's explore it just a little bit. So they grabbed this gentleman. At that time, he was maybe around 10 or so, okay? I don't know if we have any 10-year-olds here in the crowd. But the next thing they do, I don't know how you would act as a 10-year-old, but they decide they're going to put him in the chair, put some rope around him, give him a lantern, pull him down into that hole, and ask what he sees. I don't know how you guys were when you were 10, but obviously he freaks out just a little bit, right? Going down, dangling like that. So he drops that lantern. It's at the bottom. Stephen Bishop, 20 plus years later, finds it, okay? So it's all kind of making sense to him. Stephen Bishop realizes whole cave right here, it's all connected, okay? And this man would go on to continue and explore this cave. One day he was outside of the cave and they asked him to make a map of Mammoth Cave. And he does it all by memory, and he's 70 to 80% correct with the passages he's been through. So he is an expert at what he's doing. Later in life, and with all these tour guides, they all give these fantastic tours, and more people are coming. But I would like to kind of finish off Stephen's story. In 1856, he gains his freedom from slavery. But sadly, in 1857, he does pass away. So while it is sad, at least he was gone as a free man. But as the story of Mammoth Cave progresses throughout the 1800s, people from all over want to come here. They're interested in this place. I mean, it's this grand, gloomy, peculiar place. These large rooms, these passageways, it's all amazing. And word keeps spreading like that. It gets to the point where in the 1900s, a little event starts occurring here in this section of Kentucky. It's called the Kentucky Cave Wars. Because here, we have a ton of different caves. And a lot of the businessmen at the time, they wanted that tourist dollar. You went through one really main road to get here to the historic entrance. So there was a ton of little businesses that are popping up to go see their caves instead. An example of that would be, let's say you guys are coming to the historic entrance, but you'd be stopped at the road. There'd be a guy dressed like a police officer, and he'd be like, have you heard? The historic entrance caved in. You can't go over there. I'll tell you what, there's this other cave you can go. Here's the brochure. I'll tell you how to get there. So there's all these different types of tactics to get people to go to different caves in the area. And there was feuding, there was lawsuits against different cave owners here in this area. And it all kind of culminated, and the Mammoth Cave story changed when in the late 1920s, a man by the name of Floyd Collins, he's an expert caver in the area. He owns his own cave. It's called Crystal Cave. It's a beautiful cave, but it's off the main tourist highway. So he decides, he talks to some landowners, and there's a cave that he sees. It's called Sand Cave. It's on the main tourist route because he wants more people to come to a new cave that he owns. So he decides he's going to explore it, and he's going to split the profits if it looks good with the landowner, 50-50. Sounds like a great deal, right? So he goes inside of Sand Cave, and he, like I said, he's an expert caver at this. He gets to a passage, though, that's so thin, so tight, that the lantern that he's using to see his way through, he has to push it with his shoulder as he's squirming through this passageway, okay? But eventually, he accidentally drops the lantern, pushes it a little too hard. It's dark, but it's no problem. He's an expert. It's all good. He knows he just has to keep going a little further and he can get to a larger passageway, and then after that, he can get out. As he's going in the dark, though, he accidentally kicks a little too hard, and a rock falls on his leg, pinning him in this thin passageway. It's not until later, because he put his jacket outside the cave over there, that his brother Homer decides to investigate, goes all the way back there, and he sees that his brother is stuck in that cave. He goes back out, and the alarm is sound that Floyd Collins is stuck in Sand Cave. But this becomes an absolute media fire, because at this time, there's a little new invention that everyone likes to have in their house. It's the radio, okay? And what's happening in this little old part of Kentucky with the Floyd Collins being stuck becomes one of the largest media frenzies between World War I and World War II here in America. Congress actually pauses to hear updates on what's happening to Floyd Collins. People from all over the country are starting to descend to Sand Cave to see what's happening there. The Kentucky National Guard is actually called in to keep order, as too many people are in the area and they're starting to disturb the rescue operations. Now, originally they were going to try to pull him out, but he can't. He's pinned. He cannot move his leg. So instead, they decide they're going to dig a shaft all the way down to where they believe he's at and get him like that. But this is hard work, and Sand Cave lives up to its name. It's very sandy as they're digging through, trying to make this shaft. It takes 17 days to finally get to Floyd Collins. And as they finally descend into the vertical shaft, our doctor comes through. He examines Floyd Collins. And he realizes he has passed away in that cave down there. Now, this would be the catalyst of change for many things. After this happens, and they bury him and everything, Mammoth Cave, this whole story starts to change here. The talks of a national park have always been here. But after this event, it becomes a big thing. Congress authorizes that they try to create Mammoth Cave National Park. And through buying land and forced eminent domaining people, in 1941, Mammoth Cave National Park is created. And since then, this historic route that we're taking has been operating virtually every single day. And even before that, hundreds of years now. Now with that being said, folks, we're coming up on our crown jewel of this tour, the Mammoth Dome, okay? But we're 310 feet below the surface. It's the lowest point we're going to be at. Guess what we're going to have to do now? Go all the way back up, all right, folks? So when we get to the Mammoth Dome, you're going to see a tower. It's about 200 steps up. It really tires people out. So I have an old kind of saying. I'll let you guys know here on this group. If you get really tired, but you don't want to show it, just lean on a rail, okay, and point. People are going to take a picture whenever you're pointing at, okay? So if you don't want to look that tired, lean, point, okay? You all hear that? So when we get to that Mammoth Dome, folks, I'd like for you to know it's really something special. It's very pretty, but we kind of have to keep as a group here too. So I ask all of you, I implore you all, take a few photos and then keep on going, okay? This is also the only part of the cave. I know maybe someone's been wondering, where are those formations at? Where's the stalactite? Well, we're not going to see those, but we're going to see a flow stone called Butterscotch Falls, okay? It looks like butterscotch. Don't lick it. It tastes like a rock, okay? But we're going to see that up ahead here. So I really, really do implore you, when we do get up here in a minute, if you're a slow walker, if you think those stairs are actually going to kind of really take it out of you, come to the front for this part, please, all right? But before we get into seeing all that grand stuff, who has questions? This is Cody. Yes?
What happened to Sand Cave?
It's still there. So actually, if you take one of the ways out, if you're going towards Cave City, there's a small trail that leads to the entrance of it. Well, you can see the overhead of it. Yeah, so it's still there. It's on our property, very edge of it. Great question. I can take one more before we go up the stairs and have so much fun with that. Anyone else? All right, folks, so if you can, get up and let's go see Mammoth Dome.
All excited.
I did.
Laura, you remember that one of the tours is basically just with lanterns?
Yeah. Oh, it's like a little crack in the ceiling.
Yeah, I want to know that if they had to modify the feature.
I thought it was a rock.
Butterscotch rock.
And that's not it. It was up this tower. It was where that Mammoth dome is. I like how we're just getting drenched.
Well, it's nature. That's probably rain from hundreds of years ago. Well, maybe not that. Take years for the
Because it has to fill up places and you. Yeah. I think I see what he was talking about that butterscotch thing.
Cool.
It's like its water is going down it. Oh, it looks like there's more over there, more of that.
What you got down here?
This is why you let the slower people go, because they set the pace and it doesn't. And it's not so bad. Kind of reminds me of Machines Adventure climbing the
Towers and stuff. Yeah. Where? Oh, cool. The big.
Pretty cool view.
Yeah. Very, very cool.
That was a long power race, so I'll start my pace very, very slow, okay?
Fine. I'm probably only gonna record in specific times in that diamond lining thing.
Okay.
There's no way 2 batteries are ever gonna last.
Yeah.
They're barely going through this.
Those are brand new too, right? As far as what's new with your.
They're about an hour each.
Yeah. Could get a few more.
Yeah, I should.
That's your bunk bed right there, Bruce. That's for your sleep.
I'd roll off and take like a
Crack your head and-
5-foot drop. And who knows, this could have been deeper right here before they built this.
Yeah.
This could have been a few more feet deeper. Oh, there's like a little drop down there.
Looking forward to the domes and dripstones on tomorrow.
Yeah, that's gonna be really cool too.
See different parts of the cave system. It'll be more. It'll probably be more wet than this one for sure.
Probably.
So you should probably take your jacket.
That raincoat thing that you brought.
Yeah, that might not be bad. That'd be light and waterproof.
And I could just kind of like tuck it in my pocket, and then when I need it, I could just throw it on.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because it's honestly kind of warm in here at this point. Right?
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Maybe the surface got warmer, and that's why.
No, it's because
The water was
you
refreshing.
feel warmer because you just walked up all the stairs.
That water was refreshing, though.
Yeah.
Oh, there's like a little critter hole over there or something.
Yeah.
Something might have burrowed into the side.
So the smaller holes that were in there I pointed out earlier, those are definitely
I think
artificial.
that's like shale.
Yeah, this is shale and sandstone. That's what they said in the museum.
Okay. In the entire cave?
Yeah.
Or was it limestone further down? Or up?
There's mostly shale and limestone.
Whoa.
Shale, sandstone.
All right, folks, this is going to be my last stop before we get up to the surface. So if anyone has any dying questions, well, let me know now before you go up. Yes? Yeah. Maybe we're not too far from the surface now, so maybe 100 feet down, give or take. Yeah.
Definitely changing that battery.
Logical terms, those wet caves, something's going to happen. Either it's going to collapse in, the stalactites are going to get so big that they cover the room. But if you have this massive dry cave, there's really nothing bothering it. So, kind of interesting, yeah. So that's my small geological talk. Wasn't able to do. And folks, as we're coming in, this is going to be my last stop. So if you have any dying questions for me, let me know.
Does it ever flood in the tunnels?
No, so remember where we're at, River Hall? Yeah, so River Hall does flood on the occasion. So yeah, there's a high point, and it was as we were going up the steps, there's a kind of a rock that, to me, has a point to it. There's a marker on that. That's the highest point it's ever gotten, and that was in 1961. But if it flooded in this upper chamber here, Nashville Bowling Green would be underwater. Like there'd be a lot of things going on the surface. We would be worried about the cave. Yeah. Anyone else have yes?
So this cave is made with erosion?
Yeah. Yes. Exactly right. Water. All this is just water. It's that natural acidicness of it. Yeah. Great question. If anyone else has any questions, let me know before we continue our way out. And folks in the back, if we can all kind of squish in just a little more so I can see my trailing ranger, so we can get going to the surface. Thank you, folks. Appreciate it.
It's a huge opening.
Anyone find a really old signature down there? Like an old date? Anyone find a really old date down there? Like before 1820? No? Alright.
35.
1820s? Anyone? 1820s? You saw it? Yeah. What was yours? Did you see? 1828. Nice. That's a really old one. All right, folks. So you guys have done it. You've done the historic route right there. How was it? Was it good? Yeah, awesome. Good deal, good deal. We only have one more thing to go. Remember those steps we took in the very beginning? We had to go all the way up them. But other than that, you guys have done it. But folks, I'd like to just say thank you so much for coming on my tour today. It means a lot. I'm so glad you guys are interested enough to come see Mammoth Cave itself. And even if you just realized after this tour, you despise caves now. That's okay. There's over 400 national parks, and I can guarantee you there's one that's going to fit you. All right, so on behalf of myself and Ranger Mike in the back, thank you so much for coming. Let's get back up to the surface. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. He does it all day. He did it.
See what the gate's for, so people can't get down here without paying.
It's to keep track of the group so that they don't have if somebody got lost down here, that'd be a big problem.
Definitely. That's why they have all this
Somebody'd
on
get
here.
fired and there'd be a
Big lawsuit, and that's why they take every chance that they can to not take. They don't take any chances. I think that's right.
Terry tells me that you took really little steps according to your step
Oh, my
count.
Fitbit? I don't know. I'm not wearing it. Mine used to always come out. Yeah, when I used to wear it. It used to record more. Okay, now that from all of this in here? No. Oh, so that's only 4,000. 3,700. Wow, on that one, right? Go back and do it again.
Probably just try to leave it at this
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Squat walking. Yeah. That. Right there, mine did they make some of my house.
Yeah, be relatively short.
The only
Kurt.
Well, I think he lost his key. Stuff down here.
Hold down. I know that's not mine.
Gunpowder. Oh, okay, cool.
How many steps was this one in comparison to the other one?
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
All right.
Folks, you can use either one too. They're both open. Thank you. Have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You
Like, I'll be like 100 feet behind you guys. I just get to camp both stages.
Dad, is the red light blinking?
Yeah. The smaller group, it'll go hopefully go a little bit faster, or at least less chance of spreading out and less chance of medical issues.
Right. How's everybody doing so far? Good. All right. It's a pretty cool natural entrance, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's not natural. But the sinkhole that we're standing in is natural. Sinkholes are very good indicators that below you there is essentially the drain coming out of your kitchen sink. And all that stuff, it goes into a pipe, right? That's what we're getting ready to go into. It's just one big pipe coming out of our sink. Now, if you don't have a historic tour later, let me explain why in a second. If you don't have a historic tour later, I'll encourage you to, when we get back to the visitor center, walk down the road to the historic entrance Mammoth Cave, because it's a vastly different entrance, okay? If you have a historic tour, wait until your tour so you're not having to walk up the road twice, because that hill is a killer. But you'll see a vastly different entrance than what we have here. Big open, the same entrance that's been used for 5,000 years. This one's only been used for about 100 years or so, maybe 103 now. This entrance that we're getting ready to go into was put in by a guy named Dry Hole George in 1921. He was big in the cave tourism industry. So do you guys want to learn about Dry Hole George?
Sure.
Yeah. All right, let's take a walk. This is anybody's first time to Mammoth Cave? Mine too. Hopefully we don't get you lost today. I'm allowed to lose 5 people per tour, and I've got, they rack up, so I can lose an entire tour if I need to. All right. I'm just kidding. about this being my first time in the cave. The other part I'm serious about. Let's do this. Hey, when you do your phone checks, this was unlocked.
Probably a psychopath down there waiting for us.
Red light's blinking, right?
Yep.
And there's like some sort of thing in there.
What do you mean with it?
Some sort of animal of some sort, like a bug. You see
Oh,
it moving?
yeah, I see it.
Yeah, that I doubt the camera can pick it up.
Maybe that's what unlocked
It's like
the door.
it's like a cricket,
Yep.
cave cricket.
It's like, there's a spider
And there's
right
a
there.
spider right there, yeah.
Pretty big spider. It's getting about.
Oh, and some sort of
Getting a little
skeletal,
warm
some
up.
sort of skeletal remains. Some sort of skeletal remains up there.
That's a whatever.
It looks like it.
Mineral deposits. As the water drips off of it through the ages.
Yeah, you're smart to bring your GoPro. Like a possible camera out here.
Yeah. He loves that thing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I think we might put on our ranger.
It is quite wet. Ooh, huge drop. I'm just keeping my camera like in line with the stairs, so if it falls, it's most likely not gonna fall over the edge.
Yeah.
I was wet. I was cold.
At least I can conquer my fear of heights. Ooh, that was wet. Very wet. My GoPro is still on my head. Go again, more stairs. I ran out of room. Cool. A little puddle. Another puddle. Careful, Dad, it's slippery. That's really cool. That's really cool.
Who decided to investigate this originally? It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
Because there are huge death drops pretty much everywhere.
yeah.
See what I mean? Really cool though.
Oh, that one over there. Wow, that's perfect.
This is cool and dangerous.
There's down in there that it's like caved out.
Oh, yeah.
guys have any questions as we're filtering in here? I'm going to talk about geology later and later stuff. I'm going to talk about first people to find this place. Yeah.
Was there actually an opening there, or did he dig?
There was a tiny little hole, but I'm going to get into that. How are we doing so far? Good. Good deal.
How far down does this one go?
We're at 250 feet right here.
Uh-huh.
The lowest level of the cave is only 150 feet below us.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's in the historic tour. We were like 310 or something.
At the very lowest level,
Yeah.
yeah. This is going to be about where we're at for the next hour and a half.
Okay.
It's going to seem like we get pretty low, but at that point where we go down the optional steps, we're only 130 feet below the surface.
Okay.
No, we're not. We're done with all those stairs.
Got more stairs. Can you imagine having to go back up those though? That would suck.
Yeah.
These will be little.
Those openings were really cool though.
Yeah, the last one especially.
And my camera's still on my head, right?
Yeah, did you look up and look down? And
Yeah, I looked up and down pretty much everyone.
Any other questions? So, is there any suspicions? Anything you're suspicious about? That one usually throws people off. Suspicious? What are you talking about? Thank you, Ranger. All right. So, this is Grand Central Station. It was named Grand Central Station because Dry Hole George, when he got here, thought it was a lot like Grand Central Station. He'd been to one in New York, and so he thought this is what this looked like. Now, I told you about Dry Hole George just very, very briefly. But in order to tell this story, I feel like I need to set the scene for us. So if you're okay with that, I'm going to turn the lights off. We're going to do some fun stuff. Now, what I need from you, if you have anything that emits a light or anything like that, I need you to put it away, hide it, cover it up. If you're afraid of the dark, well, let me tell you how we're going to do this. It'll be on the count of three, okay? On one, I want you to close your eyes. On two, I'm going to set the scene for us. And on three, I want you to open your eyes. If you're afraid of the dark, skip step 3. And if you cheat and keep your eyes open, you're going to know because you make the same sound every single time. Every time. So, are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Now, Dry Hole George, his name is George Morrison. He came to Mammoth Cave around the turn of the century, 1915 or so. But this section of cave, up until the point that he got there, looked very much like this. Folks, you can go home and tell everyone that you know you've seen all 426 miles of Mammoth Cave, because this is what it looks like. If you got any questions, raise your hand. So, George Morrison, he comes to Mammoth Cave in 1915 or so. Now, look around you, not at this flame here. But he comes to Mammoth Cave in 1915 or so, and he came down here. He was an oil man. There was oil down here in Edmonson County, which is one of the counties that borders the park. Came down here, he drilled 19 times. And 19 times, Dry Hole George came up dry. So the newspaper started calling him Dry Hole George. Well, because he was having such a bad time with this, he decided to kind of take a breather. He went on a Mammoth Cave Estate tour. Long before there was a Mammoth Cave National Park, there was the Mammoth Cave Estate. It's been here since the early 1800s, leading tours since 1816. Not in this section, but in the historic section behind the visitor center now. So George goes on a Mammoth Cave tour. He's an engineer, and so he's thinking with an engineer's brain, and he realizes we've been walking for a while now. I mean, we've been going for like 8 hours. There's no way we're still under the property line of Mammoth Cave Estate. And so he goes on more tours and starts counting his steps, bringing a compass that he could hide in his hand. He was mapping out things in his mind and retracing those on the surface. And he realized that he was right. They weren't on the property of the Mammoth Cave Estate anymore. And so what he does is he gets with a local landowner named Perry Cox. And he says, Perry, I know you have a sinkhole on your property. You're pretty close to the Mammoth Cave Estate. If you let me open up this sinkhole and see if there's cave down there, if we can make a profit off of this, you can have 50% of this profit, okay? And so that's a pretty good deal, right? Perry Cox didn't have to do any work. He's getting money just because he had the land and the sinkhole. So George Morrison starts to do that, and the Mammoth Cave Estate says, hey, you can't do that. You don't have that, no, this is our cave, you can't do that. And so they take him to court, and George Morrison loses this first court battle. Now, he was discouraged, but he wasn't done yet. And so George Morrison came back about 5 years later in 1920s, 1921, and he did it the right way this time, he purchased 2,000 acres of property. Property that included the sinkhole that we started in. He took his 3 favorite caving tools and he opened up that entrance. And I'll tell you about those in just a second. But he was sitting in this diner, let's say, and he heard an old woman talking, and he's like, do you know anything of any sinkholes in the area? And she goes, well, there is this one place, like a great big bowl, and down in the middle of it, all the kids like to go there in the summer because cool air comes out of the rocks. He's like, bingo. So he buys up that 2,000 acres, has the sinkhole that we walked down into, and his 3 favorite caving tools. Got any guesses?
Dynamite.
There's one of them.
Lantern.
Maybe. Rope. There's 2. We've got dynamite and rope. Maybe a lamp. Flash. He didn't have a flashlight. This is 1921. His nephew Earl. Now, he took 26 of dynamite, that's his favorite caving tool by far, 26 of dynamite, stuck it in that little hole, and over 3 blastings, he blasted in the entrance that we came into today. The first 50 feet or so of our cave, not natural. The last 50 feet or so of our cave today, also not natural because he dug that out and blasted it out in 1925. But he took his second favorite caving tool, a whole lot of rope, and being the very brave man that George was, he tied that rope around a tree or a rock outside and then said, come here, Earl. And he tied the rope around Earl. And now, when I say nephew, how old do you think Earl is? 5. 12, 17, 5. Earl was a World War I veteran.
Oh,
he had just came back from World War I, from France, and he had a buddy named Carl, Carl Erickson, they called him Eric. His buddy Carl, he said, hey, we're going to do this. Do you want in on this? Carl said, yeah, heck yeah. Let's go do this. Let's have another adventure. And so Earl and Carl, over 2 weeks, they descend and rappel and navigate their way down all those domes and pits that we saw. And after 2 weeks, they get here to what we call Grand Central Station, what George Morrison called Grand Central Station. Now, it's kind of funny because the first bit of rope they had wasn't long enough. And so Earl went down and then came back up, and George said, what are you doing? And Earl says, I need more rope. So they went into Cave City, bought some more rope, and came back. Did it again, went back into Cave City, came back, and this process repeated multiple times. And so Earl was down here, and so when they finally made it to Grand Central, this is maybe lantern light is how they saw. If you look real carefully when we're on our way to the frozen Niagara, there's going to be a big open room with a bunch of boulders in it. The ceiling's going to be kind of low. If you look on one of those boulders off to the left, there's going to be a lantern. And it doesn't have any glass on it because down here, glass smokes up pretty bad if you have, kerosene or something like that in your lantern. And so the way they're seeing this place is just like we are now. If you look around, you can see all sorts of stuff. I can see most of you. Has anybody been in the movies in the last 50 years, seen Indiana Jones? Where does he hold a lighter or a torch anytime he's in a cave or a dark spot? It's like right up here, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If I do that, I lose every little bit of night vision I have. You know why he's doing that?
For the movie.
Because you paid $30 to see Harrison Ford, yeah. So George and Earl and Carl are sitting here, and they're sitting in this room like, well, this is pretty cool. We're going to be able to do something out of this. And so by 1922, George Morrison has opened up tourist trails in his section of Mammoth Cave. But with that came a new legal battle from the Mammoth Cave estate. So the estate says, hey, you can't say that this is Mammoth Cave down here because it's not. This is a different cave. He called it the new entrance to Mammoth Cave, because you got to be original. And so he had this big sign, and over the roadside, you'd see that before you ever saw like the Mammoth Cave estate signs, because you were 10 miles away from the estate, 2 miles from his new entrance. And so the estate took him back to court, and at first he was kind of losing the battle, but then he had this really interesting idea. He knew that this section did in fact connect to Mammoth Cave because he'd been here before on a Mammoth Cave tour. They came from a passageway off to my right over here. And we're not going to take that passageway today. If you want to, take the Grand Avenue tour. It's 4 hours and 4 miles long. You got 1,500 stairs on that bad boy. So he knew that this area did connect to Mammoth Cave. And he said, okay, we're going to take our guys for the Morrison Cave Tour Company. We're going to take our guys. They're going to go through our new entrance. They're going to go poach people off of tours, off of Mammoth Cave tours. So they'd go and they'd hide in the dark. And they'd wait till your Mammoth Cave tour came out. And the Mammoth Cave guide would say, well, we're going to turn around now and go back. We've been here for 8 hours. We're going to turn around and go back for another 8 hours. And these Morrison guides would say, come out of the dark and say, hey, you guys want to see some new cave? And they say, well, yeah, but what'll it cost us, the visitors? And they say, oh, no, don't even worry about that. Don't even worry about the cost. It's going to be free. All we need from you is once you're done on this cave tour, once you go out George Morrison's new entrance, we need you to sign an affidavit that says you started at the historic entrance of Mammoth Cave, behind the hotel. You came all the way here. You got here, and then you came out the new entrance to Mammoth Cave owned by George Morrison. That's a pretty good deal, right? Free, and you're seeing miles and miles of brand new cave. Would you take that deal? Well, you're not taking it today. You're on my tour today. We're going to see some cool stuff. And so that's what they did. They took that deal. They came out here. That's awesome. Turn that off now. They took that deal, and they came out the new entrance. Watch your eyes, folks. Never mind. My flashlight doesn't work. Watch your eyes, folks. So they took that new deal. They came out the new entrance to Mammoth Cave, and they signed the affidavit, took that affidavit to court, and George Morrison said, look, here people signed that they went out one way, came out the other. This is part of Mammoth Cave. And the judge said, it sure is. Mammoth Cave Estate, you have no case here. And so how they settled this was George Morrison, instead of being paid off by Mammoth Cave, they came to an agreement. George Morrison, on his big sign that says New Entrance to Mammoth Cave, it stands across the Cave City Road, the highway at that point, had to write on there in the tiniest little font you can imagine, because it's George Morrison, he's very crafty. Not affiliated with Mammoth Cave Estate. Kind of like the side effects on your pill bottle. That's how small it was. So legally, he was protected. But now he was able to compete with Mammoth Cave, and he did very well up until the Great Depression, up until the stock market crash. When that happened, nobody was taking tours anymore, nobody was going on vacation anymore, and so he just kind of sat here. Well, he had tour routes open. Remember I said he opened that entrance in 1921? He opened tour routes by 1922. When we go up these stairs here in just a minute, you're going to see some big stone steps. They're kind of uneven, so watch your step, but those are original Morrison era steps from his trails. He had 6 tour routes by the time he was done. We're on tour route number 4 today. You start at the new entrance to Mammoth Cave, you come out the frozen Niagara entrance. So we're following in their footsteps. We're also going to see at our next stop some Morrison era trail that are it's also made out of stone. Last year, this section of cave was closed for some work on our trails, and what they found when they were renovating our trails was these steps, was the trail, and now we show that off and we still use that because it's a very solid trail still. They reinforced it with concrete, but it's a really cool trail to see. So George Morrison, in 1925, there was a young man named Floyd Collins. I say young, he was in his 30s, but Floyd Collins was a very prolific and very experienced cave explorer. He was also in the tourism business in an area we call the Kentucky Cave Wars, and his family had a cave, but it was pretty far off the beaten path, and it was very pretty, very worth going to, but people wouldn't show up because you get to Mammoth Cave before you get to Floyd Collins Crystal Cave. And Floyd Collins is out on the south side of our park looking for a new cave to show off, one that's closer to the highway that can compete. And so just down the road from where we turned off the main road is the Sand Cave Trailhead. I'll encourage you to go there on your way, to your next park or your next destination and check out the story of Floyd Collins. But because of Floyd Collins, because of what happens to Sand Cave, there's this big push by 1926 for a new national park here in the East. We have 3 that get approved in 1926. We have the Great Smoky Mountains, we have the Shenandoah Valley, and we have Mammoth Cave. And it's because of Floyd Collins' story that all the spotlight suddenly put on Mammoth Cave. And so 1926 rolls around, the Mammoth Cave National Park Association, there was a bat, that was kind of cool. We don't see him in here. The Mammoth Cave National Park Association is formed with the goal of creating a national park here east of the Mississippi. And they come knocking on George Zoller in the 1920s. They say, hey, we want to buy your section of cave, we'll give you $80,000. And George says, no, I want $500,000. $500,000 in 1925 or 26 or so is about $8 million today. So he wanted a lot of money. And they say, well, we're not going to pay that. So, you can take the $80,000 or we'll be back later. He said, I guess you'll be back later then. And then the depression hits, stock market crashes, and here comes Mammoth Cave knocking. And they say, George, we told you we'd be back. We're prepared to offer you $80,000 again. And he said, nope, I will sell for $280,000. The modern equivalent of $6 million. Mammoth Cave Estate says, okay, we can do that. And so the Mammoth Cave Estate gets that 2,000 acres. They get this section of Mammoth Cave, and then by 1941, we have a national park with about 40 miles worth of Mammoth Cave in it. We didn't become the longest in the world until 1972. We weren't even the longest in the county until 1972. Not even the longest in the park until 1972. That was the Flint Ridge, it was about 100 miles. And then they connected that with Mammoth Cave, had the more famous name. So George Morrison is bought out by the 30s, and he moves to Owensboro, Kentucky, and that's where his story kind of ends. So we're going to leave George Morrison here in Grand Central Station. We're going to follow some of his tour route. We're going to come out the Frozen Niagara section. We'll talk about geology at our next stop. When we go up these stairs, this is an area where the handrails might be on the opposite side of the trail than what you think they should be. So please watch your step on that one. Does anybody have maybe 1 or 2 questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So they didn't know that this was the longest cave until the 70s. What made it become the national park? Like, what specifically is it?
The human history. Mammoth Cave has history that dates back 5,000 years, and it's a natural dry cave like this is rare. And so it was the history, the fact that Mammoth Cave has been toured since 1816. It is one of the oldest toured attractions in America.
Thank you.
You have a question?
I did. You had mentioned before that the stairs were made out of the rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Were they, like where we came down, would that have been made out of wood or metal?
Yeah, his first stairs were wood. They were definitely not OSHA approved. And so if you think about it, that was pretty wet when we just came down.
Right.
The steps we walked down today, $3,000 a step. So $1 million staircase right there. 1920s fashion, slick leather soles, going down wooden steps. Man, I wouldn't want to do it. You have a question?
How did George die?
That is a topic I will leave up to your own research. It's pretty sad. And I don't want to be sad on this tour. All right. You guys ready to see some more cave?
Yeah.
All right, let's take a walk.
Red light still blinking?
Yep.
Okay. see it.
Go over here. Okay. Closer to this.
You can identify what type of rock you see inside Mammoth Cave. It's all limestone. Now, limestone is a sedimentary rock. It means it lays down in layers. Now, these layers are really easy to see when we're in here. Especially if you look back towards where we just came from, you're going to see a lot of layers in an arch shape. Now, that arch shape is natural, but, you know, we get here to this section, and people are always a little afraid because they see all these big rocks in here that are just laying all over the place. And the number one question that we get is, when did these rocks fall? Because they're really afraid it was yesterday. These rocks fell millions of years ago. When limestone lays down in layers and it starts to break apart, it'll only break until the walls can support the roof. So if you want to think about it like this, it's kind of like if you took your hands, put them next to each other, put a piece of paper over the top. What happens if you scoot your hands apart? The paper sags, right? Yeah. That's what's happening here and down there towards where we just came from. It's a lot worse than it looked yesterday. I'm just kidding. It hasn't moved. Nothing in here is gonna move unless an outside force acts on it. So this stuff up here on the ledge behind me hasn't moved probably since it was put there millions of years ago. Now, when the walls can't support something, they drop it. That's why we get the arch shape. That's why we get these big open passageways. Now, all this limestone was carved out by something called carbonic acid. Now, carbonic acid sounds really, really scary. That's because it is. And obviously, it had the power to carve out all this limestone here. So if I handed you a nice tall glass of carbonic acid, would you drink it?
No.
Yes?
No?
You can drink anything once. What if, so carbonic acid is found in all sorts of groundwater runoff, gets into our streams, gets into our drinking water occasionally. Carbonic acid is very good at carving away calcium. Limestone's a calcium-based rock, it's calcium carbonate. What do we have in or on us that's calcium-based? Our bones, right? That's carbonic acid. Anytime you open a drink, it goes shh, because it's fizzing carbonic acid. So, but still a little scary considering the stuff to carve this cave is 100 or 1,000 times weaker than what we drink on a daily basis. Think about that next time you go to the dentist. What's your dentist looking for? Cavities, right? Well, down here we're in the world's longest cave. Bad jokes and bad fun, folks. That's all I am. So, limestone's carved out. It dissolves in carbonic acid. 10 to 15 million years ago is about what we estimate based on some of the ages of things that we see in here is when these caves formed. There was a kind of a predecessor to the Mississippi River called the Michigan River. and that's what carved out Mammoth Cave. And now the lowest level of Mammoth Cave at 400 feet, that's where the river still is today, carving out. As the water table goes down, so will that. The water table for us is the Green River outside. All the rivers in Mammoth Cave flow out into the Green River. So as the Green River carves down in its valley, the cave's going to be deeper. Now, the reason that we're a dry cave for the most part, we're not seeing like stalagmites and stalactites on this section of cave. The reason that we're not being dripped on by carbonic acid, by groundwater runoff, by those cave cases. The reason that we're not seeing that is over this section and over most of Mammoth Cave, we have a big sandstone and shale cap rock that acts like the roof on our house. Okay, so if you have a hole in your roof, you're going to get one of those big pits that we crossed over. If you have maybe a shingle missing, you're going to get like a stalactite forming in your house. It's not going to happen. This is how I want you to think about it. While we're in here, we don't see the sandstone, but on the surface, you see the sandstone. It's about 50 feet thick or so, and it's all over Mammoth Cave. Now, it's keeping out that carbonic acid. It'll erode, but it won't dissolve like limestone does. So that's why we're 426 miles plus in about a 7 mile by 7 mile square box, is because we have that sandstone cap rock. If we didn't have that, we'd be maybe 420 very short, very pretty 1 mile or 2 mile caves instead of one very long, big spaghetti noodle in our bowl of spaghetti that we turn upside down. Or if you want to think about it like this, remember a couple of years ago when we all had wires on our earbuds still? What happened if you put them in your pocket? They got all tangled up. That's Mammoth Cave. That's Mammoth Cave. So Geology 101, limestone, carbonic acid, a whole lot of time, and sandstone. Now, most of Mammoth Cave does look like this in here, but we also have something that we don't see in most of Mammoth Cave. Up on the ceiling, we have a couple of tiny little stalactites. We have them here and over here. Now, a little girl was here in the 1920s, and she said they looked like fairy houses or fairy castles. So we called this the fairy ceiling. We've got the princesses over here. They've got really big castles, some little outlying land claims. And over here we've got the prince and a little outhouse back here. So, fairy ceiling, fairy castles, pretty cool stuff. Now, we're going to see things that are a lot more impressive than this. Stalactites, of course, come down from the tree, they hang tight to the ceiling. Stalagmites might trip you. What do you think we call them if they meet in the middle? A column. Yeah. You think we call them a pillar or something? Those people do, but pillars are what we sleep on here in Kentucky. So, like I said, that doesn't happen. What do you call a bed and breakfast in a cave? A cave-in. So we also see a lot of formations like cave grapes and cave popcorn. Basically, anytime anybody's ever named anything inside a cave, be it formations or anything like that, they were really hungry. So we've got grapes, popcorn, we have soda straws that are hollow on the inside, look like soda straws, so we call them soda straws. We have areas that look like bacon, so what do you think we call it? Cave bacon. We have, what else do we have? It said grapes, popcorn, bacon, soda straws. If it looks like a set of curtains or a set of drapes, what do you think we call it? Well, drapes, but yeah, drapery. If it looks like the water's flowing down, what do you think we call it? Flowstone. Okay. We're going to see a big flowstone called the Frozen Niagara. It's named after Niagara Falls, and we thought it looked like the frozen Niagara, or the Niagara Falls frozen over. We're going to see that towards the end of our tour. But we'll talk about that the next time. If it looks like a carrot hanging down from the ceiling, what do we call it?
Bugs Bunny.
You would think it's still a stalactite. Yeah, it's just a baby trying to trick you. All right. You guys have any questions, real quick? We're right here, and we'll do it.
Do structural engineers come through there on a regular basis and check the situation?
Nope.
Also,
We're amateur structural engineers.
Also, what's the RH in here? What's the humidity?
Oh, I have no clue. I just guide the tours. I don't do science stuff. we have a whole science and resources division that they'll come through. The cave itself is very stable. Humidity, they'll have more about that. If you go to the info desk of the visitor center, they'll be able to get you some of that information. Yeah, back here. Yeah.
How did he make the rocks stay?
How did George make the rocks stay? He moved them in and used concrete. He brought these rocks in from outside.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is this ceiling like is this what he would have seen like
It
doors
is,
when
yeah.
he walked through here?
Yeah,
wasn't, like,
this hasn't
dynamited or
changed
anything?
in the last 3 million years since water was running through here.
Wow. It's really smooth.
Yeah. Just that limestone layer that flaked off, and now we have what the walls can support.
Mm-hmm. Do you know if there's like caves above us, like where people are doing tours, like right above?
Not
where
above
we
us
are?
in this section, no. Up here, we're actually moving closer to the slope of the ridge. And so as we move, the ridge is gonna kind of come down and meet us. That's why we're gonna stay at about this level for the rest of our tour. So it's gonna seem like we're going down, but we're still 130 feet or so below the surface.
Did you say before that there's water underneath us?
About 400 feet down in the very lowest levels. Maybe not directly underneath us, but in other areas.
Oh.
Yeah. Any other questions? Anything you're suspicious about? I know I asked that already.
I don't think.
Yeah,
How often do the rocks fall?
they don't. Yeah, the only time we have a rock fall if it's near like the historic entrance of the cave where the weather can get in and out. But in here, if we were in any danger, they wouldn't let me wear a straw hat in here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not to say that I can't reach up here and push in the section of my hat that I shouldn't be able to push in, but it doesn't happen. Yeah.
Why are there no formations from when the water was coming through here?
Because the water in here was moving fast enough and in a broad enough kind of base that it carved out all the rock. The formations that we get are drips. It's like the drip stones tour. Everything that we're going to see was formed by dripping water. As the water comes down, it slows down enough that any bit of carbonation is picked up. It'll also pick up minerals in that. It'll get to the end of like the soda straw, and the water will go flat, and it'll dry up. The minerals stay behind. So all the formations and stuff. If we have flowing water, it'll just erode the rock. But if we have the dripping water, it takes 100 to 300 years to grow about an inch.
So when we see these dry caves, it's like an actual river.
It is, yeah.
Flowing river.
Yeah, this is just one big riverbed, except the bed's up here, and where the river was.
Okay, so wait.
When it floods, does it flood the cave system?
No. If it got up to this level, we'd be in trouble. Because I-65 would be underwater, Nashville would be underwater close to halfway up the skyline maybe. That might be an exaggeration, but I-65 would be underwater and we'd be below the hood. So the lowest levels do occasionally flood when the Green River rises, but we don't see that in this section. Yeah.
Yeah, so the stalactites that are forming out there, so it takes like hundreds of years just to...
And these, this is as big as they're ever gonna get. Because it's dry in here, so we don't have any dripping water. We're gonna see stuff towards the end that if you come back in 300 years might have grown an inch. So we can take pictures from the 1920s and today and find the exact same formations and see that they may have only changed a millimeter. Ready to head to our next stop?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Still blinking. Dead.
Yep. It's
Red
still
light.
blinking.
Oh, there's that lantern that he was talking about.
Oh yeah. Good eye.
Red light. Is it good?
Yep.
Okay.
Now there's this open area here. Yeah.
Red light.
Yep, it's blinking.
Alright. So this is going to be our last kind of official organized stop here. From here, we're going to go to the Frozen Niagara section. Now, this is the section where you have to be really, really careful not to touch anything like I was saying, because one touch in that formation will never grow again wherever you touch it. Now, the Frozen Niagara, like I said, is that big flow stone that we're going to walk over a bridge. It's going to be flowing down like a frozen waterfall. The optional side trip really makes my day when I get to come down here. So thank you for showing up. 208 years in a row on these tours. It's been a heck of a ride so far, and here's the next 208. But thank you guys. We're gonna take one more walk to see the drapery room. Like I said, optional, and then Becky will lead us out. Let's do it.
The red light's on.
It's blinking. Okay. And the front screen is actually on.
Yeah, it'll turn off automatically in about a minute.
Okay.
But the red light will keep blinking, which shows it's recording.
Yep.
And it's good. Right. Red light.
Yep.
Okay. Notice there's like first aid kits everywhere.
Mm-hmm. You know, on the last tour.
Yep. Well, there's an older one over there. It looks like there's like an older one down there.
Yeah. I felt the same thing. Like, I know there haven't been any rock falls lately.
It makes it look like it's under the water.
There's something over there, definitely. Which I'm definitely going down. Yeah, look at it. Look at all of that. Make sure we don't touch it though, like you said. Red light?
Yep.
Okay. The red light is on.
Yep.
Yeah, look up.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. Glad we went on this one. Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right
Head
over
and
there.
Wings,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that's
Maybe a
good
dinosaur.
point.
Kind of looks like a dinosaur, kind of, too.
Funny how our minds make up things.
Right?
Once you have your foot, you get up your left side of the stairs back towards the top.
Oh, I stay down here, right?
Yeah.
No.
It really does look like a dragon, right? Thank you.
Maybe like a dinosaur.
Yeah. Whoa.
1920s.
Head back up, bud.
Oh, wind up my flash.
You?
So that there's more room for the rest of the people.
Just naturally.
We're all first aid and CPR certified. Okay. We do have EMR on staff as well. Our law enforcement officers, some of them are paramedics, but most of them are just EMTs.
I lead backpacking trips, so my work with first responders.
Yeah.
I'm just curious what kind of.
I think there's a couple that have their woofers, but we don't have like a trail crew or a backcountry crew or anything like that. So cool. Not. Okay. Yeah. There's thousands of
Okay. Is the red light on?
electricity down here.
Okay.
You can go ahead and start making our way.
Yeah, really cool.
It's starting to look a lot like the historic tour, but smaller. So you get
I think this is the end of it up
pretty
here.
much, yeah.
Because there's like... Ooh, death trap.
Must be a hole on that.
There's more over there too. There's more over there.
A little bit, yeah.
That's really cool though.
Mm-hmm. This is what I was really wanting to see.
Ooh, it's got brown on it.
I couldn't resist.
That's cool.
Look out, there's more out there. I'm just making sure I don't lose my camera over the edge.
Good idea.
Red light. Red light?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, jeez, look at the rock right above you.
Looks ready to fall.
Yeah.
Like one touch and it goes down. Make sure you got a good picture of that because I bumped your arm when you took the picture. I don't know if it made it blurry.
Feels like we've been down here a long time. It's 13.
And there's the exit.
Yeah. Good. We'll be able to check out on time and we'll hit the road.